Morning, all. All right, so last night, of course, we had the award show, and there are people who aren't very happy that Connor McDavid got a unanimous vote for first minus one, who voted McDavid fifth. Now, I think there's reporters that do this just because they figure, well, my vote's not going to matter anyways. I know everybody else is going to vote for that guy, so I'm going to vote for the guy that doesn't get as much attention. In this case, the first place vote went to Pasternak. Maybe that person who's voting legitimately thinks that the player that's going to be the landslide victor is overrated. And I think there's some of that. Or they just really, really like the player that they cover all the time. I think that does happen as well. But looking for odd votes, and all I did was I went through all the voting from 1982 until now, because the farthest back I was able to find the voting actual numbers, the tallies, was 82. And it's very rare that we get a unanimous vote, and then there's always odd votes. So I wanted to go through some of these odd votes and who the winner was that year. The most recent odd vote for the Hart is Blake Wheeler getting a first place vote in 2018. Now, that was the year Taylor Hall won, and maybe we can make the argument that nobody was really dominant that year. But again, I don't know that I would have given Blake Wheeler a first place vote. Again, for most valuable player in the league. Was he very good that year? Yes. MVP, I would say probably not. 2011, what an odd one in 2011 in that Ryan Kessler gets a first place vote. Corey Perry was actually the winner. And it's interesting because to me the Sedins, while I know there's a lot of negativity around the Sedins from people who don't like them, but I would not have made Kessler the most valuable Canuck in 2011, and yet he gets first place vote when it comes to the Hart because he was an excellent two-way forward. Kessler was one of the best defensive forwards in the game when he was in his prime, when he was in his peak. And so, yeah, it's just one of those oddities. 2006, Thomas Vokoun gets a first place vote. That was the year Joe Thornton won the award after arriving in San Jose. And yeah, Thornton, you would think, would have been unanimous that year with the numbers he put up. But no, Thomas Vokoun of the Nashville Predators gets a first place vote. And I'm not saying this is an insult to Vokoun or anything, but I didn't really think Hart Trophy necessarily was where Vokoun should have been that year. Wayne Gretzky in 1998. This is the interesting thing. So Gretzky, I have no problem with Gretzky getting any kind of a first place consideration for the Hart in most situations, but 1998 with the Rangers, he got a first place vote. Dominic Hasek was the Hart Trophy winner that year. Hasek was putting up ridiculous numbers. So while, yes, Gretzky had a good year for the Rangers, I'm not going to say he didn't. I would not have thought a first place vote for the Hart for Gretzky over Dominic Hasek, who was putting up just insane. 1996, Jim Carrey, the net detective, Washington Capitals. He gets a first place vote. Mario Lemieux was the winner that year of the Hart Trophy. And yeah, Lemieux, he was pretty good. I don't know if people know this or not, but Mario Lemieux was pretty good. 1985, we will talk about twice, in that Brian Sutter gets a first place vote in 1985 with the Blues. Wayne Gretzky was the winner that year. So again, it's one of those just kind of head scratchers because Brian Sutter was a very good player, good power forward, and pretty responsible defensively as well. But over Gretzky in 85? No. And then 83 to 85, every year Rod Langway got one first place vote. So there was a voter who decided Rod Langway was the most valuable player in the NHL, and 3 years running he voted for Langway. All 3 seasons Wayne Gretzky won the Hart Trophy, and all 3 seasons Gretzky was clearly the best player in the National Hockey League. It was not close. And so, yeah, Gretzky, very similar to what we see with Connor McDavid now with Wayne Gretzky in the 80s. Now, odd Norris votes, I found there was more instances of odd Norris votes. And the funny thing being, I don't have Langway as an odd Norris vote because, yes, he was one of the best defensive defensemen back in the 80s. But 2021, we don't have to look that far back. Jacob Chychrun got a first place vote the year that Adam Fox won. So, I like Chychrun. Do not get me wrong. I like Chychrun. I think he's a very good defenseman. Was he better than Fox that year? No. 2018, John Klingberg. And this is one of the oddities, too, that Dallas shows up on this one 3 times. Klingberg gets a first place vote over Victor Hedman in 2018. Nope. And again, Klingberg, great year that year, but over Hedman, no. 2015, Nicholas Kronwall gets a first place vote for the Detroit Red Wings. That year, Erik Karlsson was the winner. And Karlsson was, he ran away with the trophy that year, much like he did this year. So it's one of those ones where, yes, Kronwall, good defensive defenseman. And of course, threw some of the biggest hits at the time and all that. But over Erik Karlsson, I don't know that I could have argued that then or even now. 2013, Andrei Markov got a first place vote the year PK Subban won the award. So somebody decided Subban's not only not the best defenseman in the NHL, he's not the best defenseman on the Habs, and voted for Andrei Markov. So one of those odd votes. And again, it just feels like it's a strategic, I'm going to put my first place vote here. I know it's not going to make a difference in the end, but I think Markov deserves some recognition. 2007, Philippe Boucher gets a first place vote. Again, Dallas over Nicholas Lidstrom. Why? Again, I'm a Dallas fan. I like Boucher just fine, but over Lidstrom? No. That's just a no. And then 2002, it was Adrian Aucoin who gets a first place vote when he was playing for the Islanders ahead of Nicholas Lidstrom. And so when we're talking about the vote last night and how ridiculous it looks, it's kind of a pattern here. Daryl Sador in 1997, another Dallas defenseman, gets a first place vote when Brian Leetch was the best defenseman in the league that year. And again, I think I've done a video on Sador. I'm pretty sure I've done one on Leetch. But I've done a video on Sador, I do believe, as well. And at no point would I have said during any video on Sador, this was the year he was better than Brian Leetch. It was fantastic. Leetch robbed him with that Norris trophy and those hundreds more points in the voting than Sador. Steve Duchesne, 1993. So I get to use a Nordiques logo. Isn't that nice? He gets a first place vote in 1993, the year Chris Chelios won the award. And Chelios was a really good defenseman. And as much as I liked Steve Duchesne, I could not have voted him. He had 82 points that year. He had a good year. But I couldn't have argued him over Chelios. 1982, this is one of those I like defensive defenseman votes. Ken Morrow of the New York Islanders gets a first place vote ahead of Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson, of course, more of an offensive-minded defenseman. To me, that Ken Morrow vote is, no, I refuse to, in this NHL where the scoring is ridiculous, to give the best defenseman award to somebody with a ton of points. So they went with Ken Morrow. That's how I see it anyways. Now, unanimous votes are rare. 1982, Wayne Gretzky won the Hart unanimously. Peters wins the Vezina unanimously. Now, there were a lot fewer votes back in the 80s and early 90s. It would have been easier to get a unanimous decision. Plus, we didn't have all the advanced stats and everything. We just kind of all admitted as a community. So it's Gretzky's league, right? Yeah, all right. 1990, Bork was a unanimous winner of the Norris Trophy, which is ridiculous. I think it was 63 votes that year, but that's crazy that Bork was unanimous. Everybody said, yeah, he's the best defenseman. 1993, Teemu Selanne. Teemu Selanne wins the Calder. That was unanimous. It had to be Selanne. I don't think anybody, honestly, because I've seen people say, well, whoever voted McDavid fifth should lose their rights to vote. And I think if you hadn't voted Selanne that year, you probably would have lost your right to vote. And of course, 2021, McDavid was a unanimous pick for the Hart. So this is part of the reason why last night people were kind of ticked off that it wasn't a unanimous vote for McDavid. But think of the names that are missing from this list of unanimous votes. Mario Lemieux never had a unanimous vote for the Hart Trophy. Now, some of that is because he played during the Gretzky era. That's also why Gretzky only has one unanimous vote for the Hart. Although in 83, 84, and 85, somebody's voting for Rod Langway to make sure it doesn't happen before Mario Lemieux's really a threat. Dominic Hasek never had a unanimous vote for the Vezina. That's an interesting one, too, because, of course, with the Vezina, you're just looking at GMs. So you're only looking at 21 votes in the 80s, about 30 votes by the end of the 90s, and you're still not seeing a unanimous vote for Hasek, which to me is odd. Nick Lidstrom never had a unanimous vote for the Norris. Patrick Roy never had a unanimous vote for the Vezina either. Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. Yes, Ovechkin during his Calder year did not have a unanimous vote. And for their Hart Trophy wins, they never had a unanimous vote either. So for Oiler fans that are still kind of ticked off right now that McDavid didn't get a unanimous vote, it doesn't matter in the end. We don't remember who did or didn't get a unanimous vote. We don't remember who got this random vote or this phantom vote that we can't figure out why or how, other than it sometimes it feels like it's a protest vote, and that may very well be what it is. Or you may have a writer out there that actually believes that McDavid, he had over 150 points, however, and he has reasons why he believes that he's not the most valuable player in the league. It is one of those things that I don't think will ever change. I don't think it should. I think it makes things more interesting. So there you go. And again, this is just by me going through every single list last night and writing down all of the unanimity that I saw, as well as the odd votes. There were some other odd ones too that I left off the board that I thought, well, that's an interesting one. So again, I'm going through Hockey Reference. It'll tell you who got more votes and who got which votes. And there are some interesting ones when it comes to who ends up winning. And then you look under and you go, clearly this guy got some support, but not enough. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.